Why can't Democrat judges do what their Republicans counterparts do and play with sharper elbows? Why do I have to do a hot take about Judge Ho in New York deciding to have the investigation of whether the Department of Justice under Trump is corrupt as it relates to the Eric Adams dismissal and quid pro quo? Why does it have to be that he appoints an arch conservative and Federalist Society darling in Paul Clement, who used to be the Solicitor General under Bush, who has been on the hump side, the wrong side of every major social issue that matters to you and me, from gun control to Affordable Care Act to same-sex marriage? Why does that have to be the person chosen by Judge Ho to be the special counsel to advise him as to whether there's been a corrupt deal involving Trump? Weren't there any Democrat or former Democratic Solicitor Generals? Wasn't Jack Smith available? How about somebody else? I'm going to cover it all right here on Legal AF. Mayor Eric Adams, who frankly will not be mayor for much longer. He's either going to get taken out by Governor Hochul, he's going to get taken out by the Committee of Mayoral Inability, which is a special committee in New York, or he's going to resign. So in the meantime, Donald Trump thinks there's value in him still being mayor and dropping the indictment against him, although the New York people all want him out. Former New Yorker. New York people all want him out. His reputation's in the trash. 4 deputy mayors resigned. So over the last presidential weekend, holiday weekend, the deal was you play ball with us on immigration, we'll dismiss your indictment, but not entirely. We'll keep it in our back pocket. So it's a dismissal without prejudice. And we'll reinstate it if you F with us. That was the deal. That deal was so corrupt that the attorney running the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office, Danielle Sassoon, who was an arch conservative and a Federalist Society darling, quit over it with a 9-page letter as to why it's corrupt and unethical for her to be asked to do it when she doesn't want to drop the case against Mayor Adams. She wants to go after him with the superseding indictment for lying to the FBI and destroying evidence. So then cut to the chase, Emil Bove, who used to be Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer and who's a good friends with Alex Spiro, the lawyer for Eric Adams, who happens to be the lawyer for Elon Musk. Did you get those connections? They got together and made a deal, right? We'll seek the dismissal of your indictment. No pros, it's called. We won't prosecute it. But you got to play ball. We're coming back after you. You better play ball with Tom Homan, our border czar. And Eric Adams is like, yes, I don't want to go to jail. You know, I've met Eric Adams. I've donated to Eric Adams. I saw the Gucci loafers. I saw the partying at Bond Zero and all these different places in New York. He was our he thought he was Jimmy Walker. He's the playboy. I don't mean the one from Good Times. I mean the mayor of the 1920s. You know, like the playboy nightclub mayor. Woo! Except he wasn't doing his job. And he was taking bribes from the Turkish government, as alleged in the indictment, in order to look the other way on the construction of a Turkish consulate in New York. That's how we got here. You know, this is sort of the reason, like, New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is going to jail for 15 years for taking gold bars from the Egyptian company, from an Egyptian entity, in return for sacrificing his and giving dishonest service to the American people. Same thing. And so the Judge Ho, says, let's have a hearing. And who shows up for the hearing on the dismissal? Was it anybody in the U.S. Attorney's Office from Manhattan? No, because they didn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. So Emil Bove, the lawyer for Donald Trump, and now the number 2 acting henchman, angel of death for the Department of Justice, he comes in. He says, Judge, we're ready to dismiss. Judge looks around the room, says, anybody here to object? Nobody here to object. Judge decides, I'm going to use my inherent authority to get to the bottom of this and see if there's been corruption with this deal. I don't like the quid pro quo between the immigration deal and the dismissal of the indictment over a public official. And Emil Bove says, we're allowed to do it. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, they're so ballsy, they said it out loud. And the judge uses inherent authority to appoint a special counsel. I wanted him to go further. I wanted him to use his special powers, his inherent authority as a judge, to appoint a special prosecutor to continue to prosecute Eric Adams. He has the ability to do that under my reading of a United States Supreme Court case, the Young versus Louis Vuitton case. However, he's decided to appoint a special counsel to investigate the deal, the corruption, the possible corruption, and report back to the judge. Except he picked Paul Clement. Paul Clement who's on the Mount Rushmore of Federalist Society right-wing arch conservative positions. I could think of 1,000 better people than Paul Clement. I can think of one right now who's often with me on the show, and I've interviewed him a couple of times. What about J. Michael Ludick, former judge, Sixth Circuit Appellate Court Judge Ludick? Let him look into it. He saved our democracy by telling Mike Pence he had to certify the election on Jan 6th. He's a right-wing arch conservative. He's part of the Rule of Law Institute. What about Michael Ludick? No, he picks Paul Clement, who's been on the wrong and the hump side of every major argument at the Supreme Court as Solicitor General, which is known as the 10th Justice, that you could think of, against same-sex marriage, against gun control, over and over again. He's so against gun control and pro-Second Amendment and shootings that he had to leave Kirkland & Ellis, his major law firm, because they told him, stop taking these cases. It's making people upset, especially with all these school shootings going on. Nope, I'm going to form my own firm and continue to argue for the Second Amendment. Obamacare, get rid of it. People don't need health care coverage. They do if people are shooting off guns the way he's authorizing or arguing. And he was, of course, pro-terrorism or pro-waterboarding of terrorists and how they were handled by the Bush administration. Wrong guy. Again, I could think of 1,000 guys or women, men, whatever you want to call it, to do the job. Why do the Democrats have to bend over backwards like the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, when he picked Robert Hur, a Republican, to go investigate Joe Biden? Aren't there Democrats that are qualified for this job? There are. That was rhetorical. I am so hot. I've said this before. We got to go to the same lengths and depths as the other party. We have to have sharper elbows. You know, what's the line from Chicago? They bring a knife, you bring a gun. They send somebody to the hospital, we send somebody to the morgue. That's what we got to do in our approach. We got to fight. Ethically, yes. Transparently, yes. I'm all about the rule of law. Look, my shirt even says it. However, I'm tired of getting outplayed. So here's what's going to happen. We got a young judge. I mean, literally, he's been on the bench a year. Qualified. Federal clerk, NAACP lawyer, constitutional scholar, ACLU lawyer. Yes. But now he's going to be guided by Paul Clement. So I'll tell you where this ends up. Paul Clement finds there's nothing wrong with the dismissal of the indictment, finds no corruption of the Department of Justice. He's not going to go against the Republicans where he gets most of his business from. He's not going to go against MAGA and the Republicans and Donald Trump, or he will be a pariah, persona non grata in the Republican Party. He's never going to do it. Dale Ho, federal judge Ho, what were you thinking? Bad pick. Oh, I'm hot on this one, on this hot take. I'm glad you're here, though. We'll continue to follow it. Then we'll get a report from Paul Clement. In the meantime, the indictment is, they put a pin in it. They stayed it for right now. And I was happy when Dale Ho was picked. I was like, terrible pick for Donald Trump. Great pick for Justice. No, I'm not so sure. But I'll continue to report on it right here. You're on Legal AF already. Hit the blue subscribe button. Help us get to 500,000 subscribers before next week. I think it's next week's my goal. So I will continue to do my part, bringing you content like this one you can't find anywhere else. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states. states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.